Hello, everybody, and welcome to the August edition of the App Service Community Stand Up. I'm your host, Byron Tardif, and I have with me, as always, our producer, Denver, who's making us look good, and as well as Brandon and Tulika. Brandon is from Datadog, and Tulika, old friend from the show. You want to introduce yourself, Tulika, and then we'll pass over to Brandon?
Hi, Byron. It's good to be back. It's been a couple of months. So, I'm Talika. I'm a product manager with App Service. I specifically look at the Linux side of the house. And you can go, Brandon.
Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone. So I'm with Datadog, the product manager for pretty much everything Azure serverless. So whether it's container apps to Azure App Service, to Azure Functions, we've got it all here. So that's kind of what we're here for, to talk about our sidecar integration and how we work with Azure App Service.
Awesome. Thank you very much for joining us, Brandon. And so today we're going to go straight into the demos. Just a quick reminder: this is live, so if you're watching, you see something, please, throw your questions into the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them on the fly. We also have any links, anything that we mentioned here. We also put it in our companion blog post. So be sure to look for that later today. And without any more drama, let's jump right in. Tulika, you want to take it away?
Yes, thank you. So, recently at Build this year, we announced the public preview for the sidecar pattern. The sidecar pattern is an architectural pattern which allows you to bring some additional functionality to your website and just add it as in the form of different containers. So, though you can add any extra containers to your website, one of the containers that you can add is Datadog. As you know, that Datadog is a powerful tool for doing observability for your applications. And a few weeks ago, I had published this blog which goes step by step on how do you do Datadog integration with Linux sidecars. So over here, I've got the app that I've set up for the integration. The first step in doing the integration is if you go to the deployment center, you will see the new containers blade. Here you can add up to 4 sidecar containers together with your main site. Right now, this feature is available only for our container-based options. However, we are working on having it for code-based options as well, and that's going to come out real soon. So here, I've got a .NET app. As you can see, I've got a main container. I've just taken a normal .NET app and containerized it. So that's the container that we have. But what's interesting here is that I've added a Datadog container as well. If I go to the properties of this container, you will see that first of all, the name is whatever you give it. In our case, it's Datadog, and it is a sidecar container, which means that it runs as a sidecar to the main container. The image for the container can reside anywhere. What I have done over here is that I've taken the container that Brandon's team gave me, the Datadog container, and actually pushed it to my own container registry. And you might want to do this because then it lets you take advantage of things like manage identity and make sure that you're putting the container in a secure manner. So I've got the Datadog container over here. That's the image name. I specify an image tag and the port, and we are all set. Now, if I browse the application, as you can see that I've created this, .NET application. This is not exactly .NET 6. I forgot to change the title. It is .NET 8, and I have done the integration with Datadog, which is running as a sidecar. Now, just to show you that the integration is working, I could browse the website over here a couple of times just to generate some request. I can do things like, throw an exception or
That's
throw
something that would happen to your site in the course of it running and existing, right?
Yeah, exactly. I can even do things like simulate a slow request. So I just, artificially simulated some conditions over here. So now I can go to Datadog. And the first thing you'll notice is that on the Datadog over here, it has recognized my service. See, my service is called .NET Datadog. And on the service catalog, you can see .NET Datadog is being registered, which means it is reading the request. I can click over here. Actually, let me go to the service page instead of clicking here. And you can see that the requests are flowing in. So for example, once this loads up, and always when you're doing the demo, everything loads up much slower than it
It's
generally
okay.
does.
So let's recap a little bit. So we added the functionality of sidecars, which is the ability to mount a generic container to your app. And that containers could have different functionality. In this case, we're showing Datadog. And for those of you that are old school doing Windows apps, and maybe you're using something like site extensions, this is the functional equivalent on Linux, right? You go install your Nugget package, while you go install your sidecar. And in this case, did you have to do any code changes to your existing app, or is just adding the sidecar with the right configuration enough?
So in general case, that's the only thing you need to do. However, for my demo, I also wanted some trace statements. So, you can put in some trace statements just to make sure that it shows up. That was the only change I did. Another change that we did was in this case was adding a startup command for my website just to make sure that it loads up Datadog. However, as I said, that we are working on a tighter portal integration, and once we have that, you won't have to build the startup command or something. We will do it under the covers for you and load everything up. But right now for it, a little bit of manual stuff, so I had to go and specify a startup command.
But that's cool. Like even if you don't want to touch your app, if you're like, for example, evaluating, you can add this. You can see traces coming in. You can start seeing the value of the add-on, and then you can go and do deeper integration, at your leisure.
Yes, absolutely. And Datadog also provides their own SDK. So if you want to do things like maybe see your custom metrics or see something else which is not there by default, you can absolutely write the code for it, and that'll show up too. But in this case, I've just taken it an app which is out of the box and not done a lot of changes to it.
So this sounds like a perfect time for Brandon to take over and tell us about what's so great about Datadog, and why I should be using this for my application.
Yeah, totally. So like Tulika was talking about, the benefit of using this integration here is really to make it easy to instrument your application. And what she showed there was effectively the ability to directly instrument your application so that you can get detailed application insights, traces, trace metrics, log correlation, all that sort of stuff, all in one place, and make it easy so that you can just directly and automatically integrate your application into Datadog. Now, there's a lot that Datadog provides out of the box. So what we have here is our general Azure dashboard. One of the cool things about Datadog is that we provide out-of-the-box dashboards for over 700 different integrations and counting. So just to start off, the kind of things that you can see with your set of dashboards here, we kind of have our monitors set up under our demo here. You can see here if you have an app service, you have a high 500 response code error rate. You can track all those sort of things with our out-of-the-box monitors as well. And you can kind of scroll down here and see all the sorts of information that you get from integrating Datadog with your Azure App Service. So we can see a number of VMs, the number of app service instances, the requests, network traffic, pretty much any metric that you can think of. All sorts of container information and database status, logs. There's more information here than you could probably ever think of. So all of these are customizable. So you can take what we provide out of the box and customize it for your own use. So such that it's easy for you to create something that's specific for your application. So let's take a look over here. So we actually have alongside our many dashboards here that we provide. We have a dedicated app service dashboard. So for any integration that's involved here, you can take a look at our integrations when you're in the UI. We provide a dashboard that's associated with it. A lot of the reasoning for that is, when you're just starting with Datadog or just starting with observability in general, it's very difficult to understand what exactly you should be looking for within your infrastructure. What kind of errors, what kind of metrics and information should you be looking at? So that's what the purpose of these dashboards are, is to make sure that and help you understand what you should be looking at.
There seems to be multiple views, right? One is I'm thinking about it like I'm looking at my app and all of the different component parts, right? So I might have a web app or an app service, but I also have a database and I also have storage.
Exactly.
And I can see those and the interaction between each other, right? And then the one that you're showing me right now is you seem to have like at least 5 or 6 different web apps. And I'm seeing it's almost like fleet management without the administration part, but it's fleet observability. Exactly. Where you have multiple apps and you can see the 10,000-foot view of what's going on with all of those apps.
Absolutely. And if you're doing things like reporting for, service level objectives or, other requirements to management or all sorts of other things, what we do provide is the ability to export JSON versions of the dashboard. And you can even create notebooks, which you can create PDF reports of everything. So it makes it super easy to report on all of this information.
So we're drilling down, right? We're going from, okay, this is your whole Azure view to this is your app service view. So I'm guessing the next one is, let's look at a specific app.
Yeah, exactly. So we can go over here and take a look at our serverless dedicated views, which allow us to drill into specific applications and see a whole bunch of stuff. So you can see here in the left, we have our Azure tab up here. And then in the left, we have our app service plans, our web apps, Azure Functions, and container apps. More to come there. But for now, we'll take a look at some of the app service web apps that we have. So here we have a demo app. That's our Shopist app. You can see here there's all sorts of filters that you can apply and set, all within this left tab here. So however you want to tag your application, either in a custom manner or tags that we automatically generate based on known properties, such as your subscription, your ID, your region, resource group, and everything. So if you want to take a look here, we provide graphs at the top to provide summaries of your web app specifics. So you can set requests, errors, latency, CPU time, or other custom metrics that you want to define. So if we go down,
think of something. Do Azure resource tags flow into this? Like, you can tag a resource in Azure with a given something. Is that something that comes into Datadog, or is this tags that are set at the Datadog level?
Yeah, no. So these are tags that flow into, these are all tags that are collected. So you can set Datadog specific tags through the environment variables or configurations within your web app. So you can do, tag 1, tag 2, tag 3, etc. We have a whole documentation page on that. But we do automatically parse information and tags that are set, within your app. So all of that is searchable up here. So if you have a specific tag in mind or you have a specific category, that can be all searched up here. So if you want the environment, your application name, your app service plan, a certain metric, all of that sort of stuff. And with a lot of these views, we're actually integrating AI as well, so that if you don't know exactly what you're looking for, you can type in this bar, to see what you want, and then it'll suggest tags and information based on that. That'll be coming to this view soon. So let's take a look at this specific app. So you can see when we click on a specific app, we have logs and APM detected. APM is application performance monitoring, aka traces and other things. But here we can just see some of the general metrics that we care about. For app service, we have these 4 metrics, but there's more that you can add. There's graphs that you can add and all sorts of other information. We can see all of our logs. Here we don't have that many interesting logs, but we can take a look here and you can see all of the interesting, right now this is a .NET app. We have all sorts of tags that are, specifically dedicated to these logs that you can set. And that, is the logs there. The interesting part of this is the traces tab. So traces and distributed tracing is really visualizing the path a request takes through your API, through your application, your execution stack. What happens when someone uses the application or makes a request to your application? So you can see it looks like it reloaded there. So what happens when a request is made to your application? There's a start point and an end point. So there's a start point to when the request is made and when you get a response, and within that you have execution paths. So with the this request here, someone made a GET request to the returns. It made a call into this Shopist returns / lookup customer API, and we kind of see here through this flame graph of how things happened and when they happened. So we can see that there was an error detected here, and there was a system exception. So for this, I don't have my GitHub account connected right now, but what you can see is there's a stack trace, and there's a location that's pointed directly to where the issue might be occurring. So you say there was an error in this call stack. It was associated with this line of code in your GitHub repository, and can help you root cause incredibly quickly. Other times it'll just show a response code that there's some sort of issue somewhere, and that's kind of the information you can see with that. So another interesting thing from here is the metrics that you can get from traces specifically. So with traces, not only do you see the execution stack, you can also see any metrics or any information that occurs during that execution. So if we take a look here, we see all the requests that happened alongside the trace. If we want to look at the .NET process CPU, let's take a look at that here. So this is when the trace occurred, and you can see what was happening in the context of that trace. So if we click here, we can see there's all sorts of information that's available. You can take a look in the metrics summary, the metrics dashboard, and kind of see all that information there. So if we want, let's see, we can head over here, and we can go to the service page, kind of like Talika was showing earlier, and you can see everything that's associated with that service. So you can see the amount of time spent in downstream, the latency of your specific request. And we'll show the exact spans of when we traced certain things. You can correlate it with a lot of the metrics that you have. But let's say we want to take an instance here. Let's see, it looks like there's a spike right here. And we want to find any sort of correlated metrics. So what we can do here is we have a set of metrics, and say there was a little bit of a spike in this area. We want to see, are there any other metrics or traces or information that's associated with this specific spike? This can take a little bit of time just because there's a lot of information to search through. So while we wait with that, folks, do you have any questions that we can get into?
So right now, this is based on the volume of your of metrics and traces coming into your app, right? If you don't have a lot of traffic, it might be a little bit faster, but if you have like a big app, it's going to take a while.
Yeah, exactly. And I just picked a random, set of metrics here. So I don't know if there's going to be anything that's actually interesting that we can look at. But if you want to say, what it's effectively doing is looking in this time frame and seeing, okay, there was a spike in this metric. What other spikes occurred in related applications or related information that we can take a look at? So we can see that maybe there was an association with our MongoDB application that was in the same time frame. Our corp site trace here, Kafka, all sorts of other information that, because we're running a connected service, there's all sorts of things that we could take a look at and see what happened during that time frame. So a simple example would be if you're seeing a CPU spike or a memory spike, was there a massive increase in requests for another service? Was there a delay in your database? All of that sort of stuff. So
yeah, I mean that's type of situations where I've seen where like a web app is acting slow and the CPU is pegged, and then when we look at it, it's some downstream dependency that is taking longer, and it's basically causing requests to queue up in the web server, and being able to trace that and go and have the finger pointing to the actual thing that's slowing down is very useful.
Exactly.
Also love the fact that we can go down to like the specific line of code that I should be looking at, and not when I have a big distributed application that has tons and tons of lines of code, being able to just zoom into the specific area and help me look at that, that is very, very valuable.
Yeah, and that's one of the most one of the most important things about using Datadog is not only do you observe the state of your application and the capability there, it helps you root cause and helps you when you're on call or something similar. It helps you really get to the root cause as fast as possible to minimize the amount of downtime that has to occur with your application. So one more thing I'll show off here, we have our Watchdog system, which is a whole bunch of AI monitored. It's AI utilities that allow you to monitor specific applications or specific metrics, traces, and capabilities, errors. And these are monitors that we develop automatically. So that's our AI that's figuring things out. What could be going wrong with your system? It's looking at your data, finding correlations, suggesting things that could be going wrong. Maybe there's vulnerabilities happening here. But first I'll show our monitors. So this is kind of like the baseline level of monitoring capability when you want to look at specific metrics or specific SLOs or something similar, where you want to look at a specific metrics and say, is there an anomaly in that area? And what do I do with that? So we do have some app service specific templates here. Oops, I'll search Azure. That's the easiest. So we have all sorts of out-of-the-box monitors. So you can see here we have quite a lot of information. So if you want to set a app service anomaly in the number of app service requests, the response time, and some, all sorts of other things, we provide the default configurations that we suggest here. You can set all sorts of specific metadata and information, and see the things that might trigger such a monitor. And these are monitors that can alert you automatically. It can send you a message in Slack, send you an email, give you a phone call, etc., to help you make sure you're on top of these potential errors before they become widespread issues.
Yeah, I mean, I'm already looking at something that you had there, which is like the threshold, and you have a threshold alert, but you also have like the predicting graph,
yes,
which is we get those questions of, hey, I know that I need to set an alert for my app, but I don't know what I need to set it to, and I'm like, well, it's your app.
Yeah,
I don't know about your code. So being able to have something that you can set that will look and baseline and then predict what's going on, telling you where the critical failure is without you necessarily knowing, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, one of the big things that we try to do is really minimize alert fatigue, because it's very easy. It's very easy to just set a threshold, right? And then whenever something crosses that threshold, you just get an alert, and that's how you very quickly start ignoring your alerts, right? Because you just it hits it all the time. You need to adjust it. Maybe your adjustment is wrong. So the whole dynamic adjustment of the threshold and detecting what really is an anomaly, that's a big challenge. So that's kind of what we have entire teams dedicated to. And that's part of what this Watchdog feature is for, is it's that automatic correlation and automatic AI detection of anomalies, and detection of what is normal and what is abnormal and where is that line. So here, correlations, being able to say, there's a whole bunch of errors that are associated with this service. What could be the cause of that error? A lot of times it is a version change. So we can detect when there's a version change to your application or a dependency or some sort of something else, and then could that be causing errors with your deployment? So you can see when there was a version change, all of a sudden there was all sorts of errors and everything.
Right.
So there's that. Yeah, so that's kind of the high level overview of everything Datadog, for app service. And again, I'll be available if you have specific requests and things you want to get involved with. We have our documentation here on introducing the app service Linux containers with sidecar pattern. We are going to be supporting a whole bunch of languages. So right now it just lists .NET, but there will be a whole bunch of other lists here. So if you have specific requests, feel free to reach out to us, reach out to the app service team. If you go to the datadoghq.com/private beta /AAS-sidecar, you can see all of the the application for our beta program, which will allow you to give you access to our services and the integration with app service. And you'll probably get a direct message from me, helping you get integrated. So that'll be great to see.
Well, thank you very much, Brendan. And, we'll put all of these links in the blog post, so make sure to look out for that. And thank you very much, Tulika. I guess we're at the end of the show.
I just have one more thing that I want to mention
ahead,
over
Tulika.
here. Datadog is a Azure native ISV service partner. So a lot of the integrations that we do, and you could do it at the app level, which we had showed, but you can also do it at the subscription level. And the advantage of doing that is then you can have all the instance level data flow to Datadog as well. So not only will you get app level metrics, which is what we were showing, but if you go through the Azure native ISV service integration, you'll also get the instance level information if the whole machine is having a problem and so on, which I think is valuable to have.
Yeah, it's going from I'm monitoring one app to I'm monitoring my whole Azure deployment, right? That's
yes.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Yeah, super excited to be involved here. We're enjoy working very closely with Microsoft. We've got a great partnership here, and we're looking to provide the best product possible for all of you. So it's great to see your engagement here.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Brendan. Everybody watching at home, thank you guys so much. We'll be back next month. Next month, we're going to be talking .NET 9. We're working right now as we speak. We're doing the deployment for the first preview release that we will support on the platform. And, that will go all the way down to our tradition of supporting .NET 9 on day 0 when it GAs. With that, I think we can wrap it up. Denver, anything from you?
Nothing for me. I think this went pretty well. Great job, everybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody that's watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Cheers.